Hey guys, Brian here. Hope you guys are doing well. We're going to jump on into it. A little bumper on this one just to let you guys know that part 2 is going to be on the Green Grind podcast, and that airs on Tuesdays. So make sure you guys check that out for the part 2 tomorrow. Kory just shares a tell-all of a lot of behind-the-scenes stories and really the grit and the grind that it takes to grow multi-million-dollar businesses. So that's going to be great. Number 2, just want to let you guys know, so many of you guys received the email on Friday, especially if you guys are all-in snow bundle users or have the whole ball of wax users. You guys are going to realize that you just got grandfathered in and granted access to the new snow pricing calculator that is now available at launchpreneuracademy.com. Take the guesswork out of pricing your snow. Take the guesswork out of pricing your salt. Take the guesswork out of pricing your seasonal prepays and your flat rate monthlies and so much more. That pricing matrix, just like the Know Your Numbers calculator, but for snow. It's incredible. We've had dozens of downloads over the weekend. Thank you guys for the support. Check that out at launchpreneuracademy.com and take your snow business to the next level. We'll do a whole new podcast on that exclusively here in the coming week, but just a quick announcement as we jump on into it. All right, let's go check it out.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Hope you guys are having a great morning here, hanging out today in person in the Ballard Products studio. I'm actually really pumped about this. This is the first time I've been here, seen it on Instagram and on YouTube a bunch, but we are hanging out at the HQ for Ballard Products with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Kory Ballard. How are we doing today?
Doing good, buddy. Glad to have you here.
It's so different over here. I have like a real audience, a real studio, I should say. Like I'm looking at a real human being. Normally I'm doing solo shows in my camper when the kids are running outside playing in the grass. It's really, really good to have like a professional environment. This is building my dream right here. So this is awesome.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, when I did this, when I designed this office in this building, I wanted to have a podcast studio in my office. If for some reason we didn't do the podcast down the road, it would be a great little sitting area. It could be another little office if Lindsay, my wife, wanted to move in here.
That's right.
But we got it set up nice. It looks cool, and we're excited. I think we've done 2 or 3 episodes of the Green Grind now in here, which is amazing because now Leroy has to drive to my facility versus me driving to his.
Is that right?
I like it.
There you go. I was just going to say, this is Leroy's chair. So I got big shoes to fill. Is that the statement? So
whatever you think.
No, hey, I love listening to Leroy. I love listening to your guys' show. Honestly, I feel like you guys have been on a really good hot streak. You've had Gemble on. You've had a couple other great guys on. Your guys' solo shows talking about, it was maybe like end of Q2 or something, but you guys did it like a month later talking about like where business is at. And it was a really raw, honest conversation about like finances, debt, where we're trying to go with the company. Just both you and Leroy relating. And I was like, this is actually one of the more favorite episodes that you guys have shot. So I've been listening to the show. It comes out every Tuesday, right?
Yep. Every Tuesday. So what are we doing today? We're here at Ballard Products. We just did a facility tour. Yep. I'm super pumped because first off, it feels like it was yesterday, but it's been 4 or 5 years that we've been partnered up doing the Ballard promo code with the Brian's 10. A lot of you guys have been purchasing that with all the mower blades, catch pros, accessories, all that mess. But it's kind of like surreal. Like you kind of walk in here, you kind of get goosebumps because when I met you, you guys had just moved into 1 bay or 2 bays, working out of basically glorified storage lockers. Anybody out there sound familiar? Yeah,
and
for sure.
Running a company that you tell the story. You were like super sold on the future of it. You weren't certain about with what you want to do with Perficut. You were in this like kind of fork in the road. Take me back 4 or 5 years ago. Where were you?
Yeah, the short version. I was still had an office at Perficut, still president of Perficut at the time, and I was still toying with Ballard. Literally, though, if you wanted to order a Ballard product, I took the order.
Okay.
And I had one part-time guy that would box and ship, and so I was in this weird spot, and I think I've told this story a million times, but I came home to Lindsay and I said, I think I either got to I'm going to shut Ballard down.
Oh, wow.
And I said, either got to shut it down or I'm going to focus on it because I don't feel like I'm giving it any attention. And I'm not a guy that likes to do things half-assed. So I felt like I'm really not giving Perficut my best effort. I'm really not giving Ballard my best effort. I'm kind of not making an impact. And I didn't feel like I had any value. I didn't feel like I was contributing to the success of Perficut, really, other than just being there and knuckle bumping and kind of just giving some love. I was just in the middle of this weird spot. And so I said, I'm going to sleep on it for a couple of days. And I woke up on a Monday morning and I said,
I'm going to go all in on Ballard. I said, we've got great products. The industry's growing. I know the industry. I feel like I need something to be excited about again. And not that Perficut wasn't exciting, but man, we just had a great system. We had great people in place. And so I invited Matt to coffee, and we sat down, and I just told him, I said, hey, Matt, I think I'm going to step down, and here's what it looks like. And, here's what your role would be. Here's what my role would be. And we worked through all those details, and Matt and I were able to have great conversations as we had over 20-some years as being partners. And, so I said, let's go. And so I said, and Lindsay was working at Perficut at this time too. And she loved the people there, and she had friends with everybody there. And she, I think, was running our irrigation service department. Oh, actually, maybe at that point she was running contracts administration. I don't even know. But sure. I said, I need you to quit your job and let's go all in. And so I talked her into that. And for the first year, and again, real quick, I reached out to a guy. I said, what do you know about Facebook? What do you know about social media? Can you shoot some videos? And he's like, yeah, I got a camera. I can shoot some videos. And so we just started really just low grade. Grab your camera. I'll show you how this product works, and maybe it works for your business. Maybe it doesn't. And, started getting some orders. Like, one day we got 20 orders, and one day we got 30 orders. And it's like, shit, this might work.
Okay. Okay.
But we truly had a 10 by 20, no heat, no AC. You guys have all been in one probably. Yeah. Where you store your stuff before you move.
No electric.
Nothing. Bare bones.
Yep.
And so every time we got an order, one of us would run down there. We'd box it up ourselves. We would drive it to Perficut because that's where UPS picked up. And we did that for about 6 months. And then we rented the spot that you came to, which was just a 30 by 60, a little fancier storage unit, but had 2 little offices, a bathroom, 18-foot ceilings. And I remember getting that, and I'm like, man, we got so much room. And then the tenant next door moved out, so we were able to get 2 bays. And so, we just expanded that. And by the time we actually moved out of there, we had 4 bays. We also had stuff stored at like 3 or 4 other locations because we just had no room. And we also still drop ship some products. If you order an advanced shoot today, I don't pretend that that's our product. I think people think I do. But if you order an advanced shoot today from us, you buy it from us, and then Advanced Shoot ships it right to your door. And so we don't have to carry some third-party products. And so this was like a dream of ours to have our own facility. I didn't think it would be this amazing and this nice. Yeah. But I think, as I mentioned in one of our earlier videos, like I started looking at ground. I started looking at what would make the most sense. We don't get walk-in traffic, so I didn't need to be on like the main drag, but I also didn't want to be in the middle of a cornfield either, in the middle of the boondocks.
A lot of that around here.
Yeah, so for sure, right? And I got to be on pavement because I keep my vehicles kind of clean.
There you go.
So yeah, here we are today in the headquarters. It took about 1.5 years to build. I bought the ground like 3.5 years ago. It was a tough building process because I'm a control freak, and I did hire a GC, and then of course I don't let them do their job.
Sure.
Why would a guy like me do that?
I heard the show the other day. Well, before we talk about the new building that we're in, and we just shot a YouTube video, I think maybe one of the first, or at least the first outside of maybe anything you guys have put out. So I invite you guys to check out Brian's On Maintenance YouTube channel later this evening, usually 7 p.m. Eastern. Try to drop videos for you guys Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And by the way, we're going to do a part 2 of this podcast, so you guys can go check out the Green Grind podcast. That's where you guys will be able to see the second half of this. And I hope to reserve, I want to interview you on this whole building for your guys' podcast, because usually you guys are asking all the questions. So hopefully we can get you on the hot seat, right? And I'll ask you a bunch of questions about how you guys build this building. But really quick, on today's podcast, on my show, before you guys run over to the Green Grind podcast tomorrow, they drop on Tuesday. I wanted to ask you about the two things over before you got here was going from like the storage locker to the other storage facility to, obviously here, but that middle ground, right? A lot of folks, I've been trying to document my middle, journey, if you will, because we want to go to 1 million. And it's kind of like, are you all in? Are you not all in? Are you going to take this thing to the front or not? Are you happy with it or not? It's like the enemy of great is good, right? So, but even before that, how did, in case people don't know the inception story of Ballard Products, because a lot of people have a misnomer out there, or at least some people have a misnomer that you're just throwing your name on all this product. And that's just not the truth. Right. You guys have some items that you do, like, would you call it remarket or your wholesale and then retail? But a lot of the product that you guys have, you have built out of innovation and necessity in Perficut. And I don't even think everybody listening in, because you sold Perficut a couple of years ago, and social media is just growing like crazy. I don't even know if everybody knows that you had built one of the largest companies in the Midwest as well. So like, I know we kind of like gloss over this stuff, me and you, because we talk about it all the freaking time.
Right.
But take me back to the beginning. Like, where was the idea for Ballard Products? Talk to me about the growth in the middle, going to those storage lockers. And then where were you guys with like the Ballard product sales? Like, what did you want to do? What was it supposed to be, I guess?
Right. That's a good question, Brian. So in 1999, my dad actually, he had taken a layoff. He was a tire builder at Firestone Tire, and he got laid off. And so he was helping me mow grass.
Okay.
And he was lifting and lowering the gates, the heavy utility gates that we have on our open trailers. You know, you guys get it. And he was slamming to the ground. And, you know, when it slams down, not only is that dangerous, but the welds break on the mesh. And then you get a flat tire because the freaking wire's sticking up. And so my dad took a garage door spring and built a little pulley, and he's like, hey, watch this. And we could lift and lower the gates with 2 fingers. And I'm like, hey, I think that's a pretty good idea. I'm like, what if I made it a little cooler? We'll put it in a stainless steel tube, and let's test some actual springs. Let's have springs made that aren't for garage doors, but let's have some springs made. They're going to last. We'll make the pulley assembly aluminum. So we made that, and we used it for a summer. And that would have been 98. That takes me way back, guys. But I'm like, I think we got something here. And so I filed for a patent in 1999, got issued the patent, I think, early 2000. We went to GIE, Equip Expo, back then it was GIE, for the first time in 1999 and showed this off. And there was nothing like it on the market.
Wow, okay,
before Gorilla Lift, and there's some other stuff out there that lifts gates, right?
Sure.
And so we grew that with just one product. And the second product was the Super Jack. We're like, man, there's got to be a better way to lift these freaking heavy mowers up every day. We're using floor jacks, and they're dangerous. And so we just started building products that we were using every single day in our business. And I kept thinking, well, we can probably sell these. Mm-hmm. But back then, obviously, no social media.
No internet, really? I know it sounds weird, but like...
No, there's no internet, really. I mean, for the most part. And so we had to go on trade show tours. Mm-hmm. So every winter I would go to the Mid-Am in Chicago, and I would go to all these local and regional trade shows to show our products, or take out half and quarter page ads in Lawn and Landscape magazine. Turf back then, Pro was a magazine back then. Pay $3,500 for an ad,
right?
And just hope the phone rang.
Yeah.
And so,
did they really call a phone number, by the way? Like 800,
it's still the same phone number, 877-965-0951.
Phone orders.
Yeah, phone orders.
I'm sure that was tedious.
So they would just literally, I would sit there but I remember we'd get an order and I'd be like, I was going to cuss, but I'd be like, whoa, we sold something.
Yeah.
We sold something. And so
I just got off the phone with Brian Fullerton. He called me up. He said, Keith Kelfus, we're doing the 2024 Launchpreneur Academy live Saturday, November 2nd in Novi, Michigan. And your name kept coming up, seeing if you wanted to speak, bro. So I paused and I said, what do you want me to talk about? That's a wrap. I'll see you there Saturday, November 2nd, Novi, Michigan. Go to launchpreneuracademy.com to get your tickets, and I'll see you live. It's going to be a banger.
Like, it was so exciting. And then I hired a sales guy. And then for many years there, we were kind of in the middle. We were about doing 500 to 700,000 a year.
Okay.
Northern Tools was selling our Easy Gate. We were kind of trying to figure out, who are we? Like, do we want to sell in the big box store? Do we want to be sold at Ace Hardware? Mm-hmm. Do we want to sell direct to consumer, which is what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to get to the consumer because... Right. And so I was buying these lists back in the day, Brian, before your time even, where you could buy basically from a phone book. You could buy a list of every lawn care company listed in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay.
And then I would send them a postcard with our product and then use this code. And I mean, so there just wasn't a great way. So for many years, it was what I would consider a hobby business, doing about $500,000 a year. And then it would go down to 300 and then it would go up a little bit. And we just didn't know what to do with it. And then that slowly dwindled. I let my sales guy go, or he quit for whatever reason. Long story here. And then for like 2014 to like 17, when I decided to do something, it was just doing about $100,000 a year, piddling around. And that's when I was like, what are we doing? Are we selling product? Or are we not selling product?
Yeah.
Are we in the business? Or are we not? Because it was kind of just a mix of, we were just confused. And so.
Well, and not to interrupt you, but to interrupt you, I feel like a lot of guys are in that boat with their company,
Certainly.
Maybe you're doing $50,000 on the side. Okay, different revenue numbers, right? So, but let's say you're an assistant principal or a teacher, a firefighter, or, maybe just started to, I had a lot of folks, get on the show and they tell their story. I try to do like podcast interview stories once every other show. So we kind of alternate. Me talk, you talk, me talk, guest.
Right.
So a lot of folks are like, well, I bought a 2-acre parcel where we bought our little home and we bought a 0-turn mower. And the wife's like, well, how much is that? 10 grand or 5 grand. So
go cut some grass.
Go cut 5 lawns on the side, right? To make the payment. Well, then 5 turns into 10, turns into 20. And they go, I'm making $30,000 on the side. My job pays 42 grand a year. I hate who I'm working for. My boss is a dick. I think I might give it a go. So like they're in this like weird no man's land of like, do I go all in or do I not? So it's different industry, but it's very relatable.
It's
topic.
still the same concept, right?
Exactly.
Like, and I think a lot of guys are in that. And just like you, we have a lot of guests on. Some of the guys I love the most are the ones that, were right. We just had a guy on last week and he just told an amazing story. And he has a small business. And I thought, oh, this is going to be a dud. And his story was amazing. And it was the same thing where he had taken early retirement and had a great pension. But he just had a passion, and then they go out but they get in that weird spot. And I think a lot of guys get in that weird spot where maybe they're doing 100, 150, and they're just big enough to have a business, right, but they're still running out of that 10 by 20 storage unit.
Sure. They
don't know if they can hire an assistant to help with, accounting or bookkeeping, maybe part-time. Do they get a building? Do they not get a building? Do they run out of their house? Do they not run out of their house?
Sounds familiar.
Do they quit their job completely? Do they not quit their job?
Right. My wife is showing interest. She wants to come on board.
Yeah, they're in that weird mix. And, first off, I'm a guy that likes to you got to take chances if you want to get somewhere, and you've got to go after it. But you also got to have a game plan too. Like, what does it look like? And, I always, to also take like, what's the worst that can happen, right? I can always go back and get that $42,000 job, right?
Right.
Like, what's the worst that can happen? If I'm going to go all in, but I also encourage people to have what's the plan?
Right.
Like, who am I? Who's my ideal customer? What's my demographic? What type of equipment am I going to use? How am I going to market? Do I have a pricing strategy? Do I know? Am I going to take everything? Am I the low ball guy or am I the mid guy?
Right.
Sometimes in the beginning you got to be a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm,
you can't be the premium guy if no one's heard of you.
Well, let me ask you this. I've heard many people say, I feel like it is true in my own life. Sometimes I wonder if like we just built the business, how would social do? If we just did social, how would the business do? Like, the whole old analogy, if you chase 2 rabbits, you get none.
Mm-hmm.
So did you feel like that with Ballard? Because Perficut was doing pretty good. You guys had a slump. We actually had part 1 of Matt Bowman tell that story. I need to get him back on. It's only been 6 months to tell the second half of like the come up again for Perficut when you guys got your second win, let's say. And that was like 07, 08, 09, I think.
Right.
So hopefully we can still get him back on maybe in the offseason, get part 2. But Ballard was on kind of flat, Perficut was on the grow. You had kind of done what you wanted to do, it sounded like, with that business. And you guys were still growing. But then what was the catalyst? Like, talk to me about the decision, like, to go all in, because I feel like that's where a lot of folks are at right now. They listen to the podcast. Next spring, they're kind of getting the boat close to the dock. So what was the ultimate decision with Ballard? Obviously, you decided to grow.
Right.
But what was the conversation with you and Lindsay, maybe you and 1 or 2 employees floating around? Like, quantify that for me. Like, what did you start with?
Well, first off, you have to, for me, what are you doing it for? Again, everyone says, what's your why, right?
Okay,
I'm obsessed with, when I do something, I'm all in. And for me, it was, can we make an impact in other people's lives? Like, I don't want to sound like being braggadocious. I didn't need the money, right?
Okay.
It wasn't like, okay, if we can do Ballard and we can sell some more mower blades, I'm going to make my mortgage payment. It was like, can we build something special again? Can I duplicate this again? And I'm just going to be 100% honest, Brian. A little bit was maybe a chip on my shoulder. Like, did Kory build it? Did Matt build it? Was it just a perfect timing? Was it perfect team? Did they get lucky? So I kind of had this thing. I thought, well, I'm going to see and show. I didn't see. I knew. I thought, but like, I'm going to prove that I'm not a one-hit wonder. I'm going to show you that I'm going to show everybody that I can build another company, and I can give great opportunity to our people. So that's what I love most about this business. Like,
the challenge.
The challenge. Every time we release a new product, I just want to see if we can make it work and make it right. And sometimes we miss the mark. The blocker. We've missed the mark. Some guys love it. Some guys hate it. We're making it better right now. So, but what
is that, by the way? Like, quantify this, like, itch, like this hum, like, I got to see if I can do it. Like, why can't we all just be satisfied, Kory? Like,
so I'm never content. That's the problem. I could get a brand new vehicle, and on the way home from the lot, I'm wondering when the next one's coming out. I'm driving home at 24 and I'm wondering, God, the 25's probably got a better dash.
So the entrepreneurial curse,
And so it is good and bad, right? And I think with a little bit of age, I've finally starting to learn to be like, you know what, we've done a really good job and we can slow it down a little bit. But I love the fact that, I can offer, I believe, and we're working on some sharing with some of our team members here at Ballard. Like, I love the fact that they get to show up to a great facility. Right. They have a great place to work. We have 401k, we have health care, and we can grow this together, and I can maybe make their lives better. They can take better care of their kids. They can put their kids through college, whatever that looks like. So that to me that's the special sauce. That's fun for me.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we sell lawn care products, right? And I felt like I had a pretty good understanding of what works. Like, if I wouldn't use it, then I won't sell it.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I always kind of come back to with you. Like, people are like, well, he doesn't even know what he's talking about. I'm like, on a rare comment, 1 in 100. But I'm like, and I kind of like defend you like once in a while, like on an Instagram post, my post, your post. And I'm just like, or I show Liz, I'm like, do you know that this guy, like, you click that guy's profile and no hate, but he's got like, a little single trailer, nothing going on. He's just, just getting started. And I'm like, the guy you're barking up the tree with, like, grew a $25+ million company. I'm like, I don't think you really understand. Like, actually, he probably has more. He's probably forgot more than you'll ever know.
Right. Well, I appreciate that, because I just had some hate on another one of our friends' pages, and I actually said, I really wish you would do some research on who I am and my history,
right? And
then maybe you would think differently. Like, there is, and I'm not again bragging. Like, I've done this. I started Perficut at 14 years old.
Right.
I had 2 mowing crews by the time I was a senior in high school. I've done this, and I've mowed, and I've trimmed, and we sucked, and we had shitty equipment, and we've tried it all.
Right.
And I don't know it all by any means. I'm still learning today. Right. But like, I have done lawn care. So when you tell me, like, you don't know what it's like there, bro, I'm like, I do.
Yeah. Do you if you don't mind me asking, we can stiff arm, but do you know lifetime earnings for Perficut?
I have no idea.
Do you know what I mean? I wonder if you...
It'd be fun to know.
Right?
Because, we got it to 10 million way back. We grew so fast that, in my late 20s, we were doing over 10 million a year, which was bonkers.
Jesus.
And that was...
Simple math. Good, 20 years, 10 million is 200 million.
And good and bad, because it got to my head. I felt invincible. I wasn't, and I've told you this off the record too. Like, I wasn't a great person. I wasn't a great husband. I was out, wheeling and dealing with all the people that I thought I wanted to be.
Right.
Like, and the truth of the matter is, like, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And you've probably heard this a lot on maybe your podcast, but there's all these things that people tell me, and like, man, if I just had your money, I wouldn't have any problems. Or if I had $1 million, my life would be perfect. And the truth is, Brian, none of that's true. Like, none of that stuff fills this hole inside you. So if you think the next new car or a fancy watch or a new mower or new skid loader is going to fulfill you, it just truly isn't. It's short term. And I've tried it. I've tried to fill my life up with a bunch of stuff, and that doesn't work either. So, I just get fulfillment out of, man, I just love, like, this place. When I pull in, I think I told you, Brian, like, when I pull in and see the Ballard logo on the building,
the pride,
and I walk in, I'm like, shit,
this is awesome.
This is ours.
Yeah.
Like, we did this, and not me, not Kory Ballard.
Right.
My wife worked 80, 90 hours a week grinding. She was out there on Sundays stacking blades for the team on Mondays. Like, everybody's put their blood, sweat, and tears into this on Saturdays and Sundays. And when we moved in here, everybody was here 7 days a week, just freaking counting. We single-handedly counted everything that came into this building. And like, this isn't me, just because my last name's on the building. This is like an awesome set of people. And my brother, who's just innovating products left and right, I'm just like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if this could do this? And he's like, give me an hour.
Oh my God, that's so cool. Well, let's do this really quick. Let's land the plane here. We got some pizzas coming in. We're going to do lunch. I'm here for the day, and then I fly back. I love just kind of in and out, getting to do these tours. Again, I this isn't like a landscape lawn care company necessarily, but Kory's, I always call you like the Amazon of lawn care products,
I don't know, is that good or bad? So somebody else called me the Amazon of lawn care products. I'm like, Amazon's pretty big.
And they also don't make any money, supposedly, right? So
Bezos looks like he's doing fine.
Yeah, I heard somebody say his yacht, right, is like 50 million or 500 million.
500 million.
The toy yacht, the toy hauler yacht, whatever the hell that's called, is 50 million. That support vehicle, I think that's called the support vessel.
I saw his daily burn on it, what it cost today to run it.
What was the number?
I saw it was some couple, $2.5 million or something.
It was like $3 million a year or something.
No, more than that.
More than that?
It was something bonkers.
Whatever it was, we probably saw the same freaking reel. Whatever it was, it said like, don't cry too hard though, because he makes it back in 2 hours.
Yeah, it's exactly.
And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. So there's so much going on here, but one thing I just want to say is like, it's really cool to see this whole thing come together. And I want to ask you more about how this building is going to transform your guys' company culture. And then really maybe even get some X's and O's. We're going to interview you on the Green Grind podcast. Cause again, you and Leroy always have everybody else in the hot seat. I want to maybe pick your brain. We'll talk a little bit more about business. And I want to maybe even talk a little bit more how you, petered out of Perficut and how you had that transition, because an exit is part of the entrepreneurial journey, and a lot of folks don't understand that. I actually heard somebody say, you haven't made it completely as an entrepreneur until you've exited or sold a company.
Sure.
And I'm sure that's debatable, but to me, I'm like, oh yeah, like it's not just building, bro. It's like selling, or at least passing it off to your kids. So maybe we can kind of hit that on a part two. One thing I was just going to say is, if you guys want to support Kory, of course, just want to mention this really quickly, ballard-inc.com for all the products, Brian's 10, and Kory's not going to self-promote or boast, but you guys have really shown a lot of love over the years to Kory and his team. I know he's extremely grateful. You guys are using the Brian's 10 code. Again, blah, blah, blah. Thank you for sure. Like, I don't want to just gloss over that real quick as we kind of land the plane. So if you guys want to check out the second part of this, go over to the Green Grind podcast episode. It will likely drop the day before this or the day after this if we time it right. And we'll get that part 2 out of you and learn a little bit more about the building, your exit out of Perficut, and just all the great stuff that you got going on. So thanks for the time.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks, Brian.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Winter is fast approaching, and if there's one thing lawn care pros know, preparation is key. Whether you're handling commercial or residential services, securing your snowplow contracts now is crucial. And here's the best part. Our contracts have just been updated. Locking in your contracts now stabilizes your winter income, letting you plan and allocate resources with confidence. Get immediate access to the Snowplow Contracts Bundle training program today at launchpreneuracademy.com. Our updated structured contracts show that you're serious about delivering top-notch service. Whether it's a commercial property or a residential driveway, you're giving clients the peace of mind they deserve. And of course, stay ahead of the competition. With flexible contract options, per push or seasonal prepay, you'll be the go-to provider in your area. Serving large businesses or individual homeowners, we've got you covered. If you're ready to elevate your winter services, head over to Launchpreneur Academy and secure your updated snow plowing contracts now. And yes, they include free lifetime updates. Don't wait for the first snowflake. Get started today and make this your most profitable winner yet. Visit launchpreneuracademy.com, and we've provided a link in the podcast description.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.